and the Choice. A story of power, ego, and wisdom. Once, nestled high in the snowy peaks of an ancient mountain range, there lived a monk, old, serene, and wise beyond words. Legends whispered he could see through lies, read hearts, and even predict storms before clouds formed. People from cities, deserts, and valleys made treacherous journeys to visit him, not for miracles, but for clarity. Down in the valley below, in a sleepy little village, lived two teenage boys, Eli and Marcus. They weren't evil, just bored, mischievous, always pulling pranks. Once, they replaced some merchant spices with colored sand. Another time, they hung fake ghosts in the church bell tower and watched the villagers run screaming. To them, the world was a game. And now, they had their eyes on their biggest challenge yet, the mountain monk. No one's that wise. Eli scoffed one afternoon. He's just a good guesser. Marcus nodded. Let's prove it. Let's outsmart the great sage. They plotted for days. Finally, Marcus said, let's trap him with a question he can't answer. Not because it's hard, but because it's rigged. He reached into a nearby bush and gently caught a sparrow. The tiny bird chirped in panic. We'll hide it in my hands, Marcus said. Then ask him, is it dead or alive? If he says alive, I'll crush it, Marcus grinned. And if he says dead, I'll let it fly away. Eli hesitated, but the thrill of the trick overtook his doubt. The next morning, before dawn, they climbed a rugged trail to the monk's temple. The monk sat in silence, cross-legged on a smooth stone, surrounded by clouds and sunlight, as if time itself had stopped around him. Master, Marcus called, bowing theatrically, we hear you know everything. The monk opened his eyes slowly, smiled, and nodded. Then tell me, Marcus said, holding both hands behind his back. Which hand hold a secret? You're right, the monk replied calmly. Marcus smirked. He opened his right hand. Nothing. Correct, Marcus said. Now tell me what's in my left hand. The monk looked at him gently. A sparrow. The boys exchanged glances. They were close, so close to victory. Then tell us, Marcus said, leaning forward. Is the sparrow dead or alive? A pause. The wind whispered through the pine trees. The monk gazed into their eyes, not with suspicion, but with compassion. Then he spoke. That, he said slowly, depends on you. A silence fell. The bird chirped once, unaware of the moment. The boys were stunned, not because their trick had failed, but because something deeper had landed. In one sentence, the monk had turned their game into a mirror. They left that day without laughter. Headphone, but the story doesn't end there. Years passed. Eli became a teacher. Marcus, after traveling the world, became a therapist. They never forgot that day. Not because they lost, but because they learned the one thing no prank, no game had ever taught them: responsibility. The monk's answer, that depends on you, wasn't just a clever response. It was a truth that echoed through every decision they would make in life. It was about more than a sparrow. It was about choice. We live in a world where we often point fingers at luck, at fate, at others. But the deepest truth is this: the bird is in our hands. Whether it's a relationship on the edge, a dream nearly dead, or a future uncertain, how we choose to act, to think, to respond, that shapes the outcome more than the circumstances themselves. We are not leaves in the wind. We are the wind, directed. So the next time you're at a crossroads, remember the sparrow. Will you let fear crush it, or will you set your future free? The power is yours. Always has been,